everyone, Julien Redmond from Ignition. I'm joined today by a very special guest, Stephen Mellare. Hey Stephen, how's it going?
Morning. I'm well, thank you. Yes, I'm Stephen Mellare. I head up the data and architecture function here at RESIMAC. And RESIMAC is one of Australia's leading non-bank lenders. We work in the mortgage space as well as the asset finance space, operating out of Australia and New Zealand. Excellent.
Well, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the recent project that your team and my team have done together. I guess at a really high level, it was a data platform refresh for RESIMAC. Can you maybe give us a bit of an overview? Why did you decide to actually refresh the data platform?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we refreshed the platform because we really needed to understand where RESIMAC needed to play in a more strategic context. We needed the insights of an integrated and scalable data platform. Because our heritage data platforms were siloed, difficult to change, had trouble scaling up as data volumes grew. Plus, we knew we needed to be in the cloud where the innovation was taking place in order to stay relevant.
Yeah, of course. So what were the ROI criteria that kind of informed your decision?
The big one for us, like a lot of organizations, would be to turn around insights more quickly. And enable faster access to innovative solutions on the cloud, including cloud data products. Plus, another important factor is we also needed to be able to retain and access a bigger pool of engineering talent. So we were able to position the new platform as a foundation project that would enable it to be used to enable other business outcomes that had their own revenue, cost, or risk reduction benefits.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense. So in what way were you kind of thinking that you'd like the business sentiment to change around your data platform?
So as I hinted at, it was originally about delivering speed to insight to enable business transformation. But I think our first big success was actually to spin up the resources needed to enable a large-scale data migration activity, and that was under extremely tight timeframes. And so that enabled a huge opportunity that just wasn't previously possible.
Yeah, that was really cool. So we responded to your request for a proposal to do this, and we put forward our Launchpad architecture, which is our reference architecture for modern data platforms. But I think really, obviously, you were looking at a new RESIMAC data hub. So what were the key business outcomes that that are being delivered through the use of Launchpad or the new platform?
Okay. So look at, like, for a lot of organizations, leveraging AI capability is paramount. And so we've been able to quickly enable third-party AI product integrations. First was a customer, a very complex, actually, customer segmentation. And now we're in the process of completing a proactive customer retention model. So in that context, we moved away from the stale sort of SSRS reporting and enabled a lot more Power BI style analytics as we migrate workloads off the heritage systems and into the new RESIMAC data hub that is based on the Launchpad. And so now we're focused on developing machine learning workloads in-house that will run and continuously improve out of the new platform.
Yeah, that's really impressive, obviously, to do lots of different workloads. So how do you think Launchpad's improved your ability to deliver, valuable insights?
So the biggest improvements come from fast integration of data sources in the data storefront, which can be used to prototype objects like machine learning or, at the moment, analytics that yield business insight more quickly. And this also takes some of the delivery pressure off the engineering team. So we can prototype something off the data storefront and then take the time to do the data modeling and the enterprise data vault in Snowflake at a proper pace that allows us to then do things more strategically and ultimately faster in the medium to longer term.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's such a nice improvement to the way kind of the process works. So have you seen improvements, do you think, yet in the trust in data and data quality?
I think we're still working our way through a data stewardship model, but I can definitely see a near future where the data quality framework that we did put in will create improved insights into the way that the data quality is being presented to us, how we're going to manage those issues, and then work also with the glossary and MS Purview. So I think we've got the tools now to do what we need to do.
Yeah, you're on that journey, and I think that's kind of the theme, really. Like, Launchpad's a target architecture to aim for rather than a single thing to deliver. So, in what way would you think that Launchpad's helped reduce the complexity and maybe increase visibility across your data landscape?
Yeah, certainly. We're not there yet, but I can see a near future where we are working with the one modern data platform instead of multiple smaller reporting databases with multiple aging on-prem tools that require a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's think a little bit about the technology and architecture and stuff. So, can you maybe make a comment on the flexibility of the Launchpad frameworks that come, especially in adapting to changing business requirements?
So the data storefront was a key concept here. So we were able to get a lot of data from legacy data warehouses and online source systems, and structure that in Parquet format very quickly. And that format can be staged in Snowflake very, very quickly for querying purposes. So for the data migration, we ended up using the data storefront with Synapse. We just chopped and changed, and it worked effortlessly, because we had that flexibility with Launchpad to choose which one was more appropriate for the job.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have that sort of flexibility before. That wasn't possible.
Yeah, and that flexibility, because you don't know what the next requirement the business is going to throw at you. So you chose for the data hub, at least you chose Snowflake and the Azure set of tools, the data management tools, Data Factory and Purview and what have you. So in your opinion, anyway, what's the benefit of that combination?
Yeah. So good question. So the data storefront leverages the lower cost Azure data lake storage and integration tools that are compatible with open source technology like Delta tables, which was, adapting open source is really important to us. And it had the added benefit of being of that technology being already familiar with our engineering talent, who could then hit the ground running, implementing the data storefront. And we knew our data engineers predominantly spoke SQL or SQL, so we went with Snowflake as a highly mature SaaS DBMS that worked really well with Data Vault techniques. And we knew we had a lot of different data sources that would be constantly changing. So Data Vault seemed like the best approach to deal with all that change. And combining the Snowflake Enterprise Data Vault and the data storefront gave us the benefits of a modern lakehouse. And that enables all sorts of workloads, including future Python workloads, as our engineering talent develops.
Yeah, I think you've kind of jumped into a little bit of my next question as well, then, because we promote Launchpad very much as being technology agnostic and flexible. So does that align with kind of your existing requirements and maybe a future tech stack as well?
Yeah. So while we chose Snowflake for our enterprise data vault, we could then choose Synapse for our big data migration project, where Synapse stored the data in a form that was much more closely aligned to the target migration database system. So that was where that agnosticity really played an important role.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was obviously one of the highlights of the recent project. So that's pretty cool. So we're using Iris to produce the Data Vault code. How do you think Iris has contributed to helping you automate your Data Vault code generation?
Yeah, so Data Vault can be quite an intimidating technique. So it was a way of being to get the engineering team into a framework and a methodology. So it's quite fast, scalable, and relatively easy to configure. And so certainly the Ignition team made it look that way, but I think it would have been a lot more daunting without it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that. So obviously we produce code. The scheduling and orchestration processes, were they kind of transparent to your team as well?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So that it worked well with our Azure Data Factory processes, so it integrated pretty well with that. The team were already familiar with those processes, so that made it work really well.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it was quick uptake. So obviously I run the team at Ignition, so I'm pretty keen to understand what your thoughts are on the working relationship between the Ignition team and your team.
It's been fantastic. So I think RESIMAC could have been a bit of a tough customer in some circumstances. We threw a lot of unplanned projects and engagement at Ignition, and Ignition were extremely flexible. Worked really well with our team. We're very good at knowledge sharing. Adapted our particular flavor of agile ways of working. We're brought in a lot of expertise we simply just didn't have, but enabled that knowledge transition into the team. So it's been a fantastic engagement. Ignition have been partnering with us ever since that first project. There's always been a presence here ever since. Not because we have a critical dependency, but more because they just work and have delivered so much good work with us, and they're a trusted partner.
Well, I think the feeling's mutual. We very much respect the way you guys manage a project as well, and so it's been a great engagement all round. Do you think we were effective in meeting your expectations, but also your stakeholders' expectations?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. The Ignition come with a good reporting framework, come with good stakeholder business outcome focus. So our stakeholders always feel like they're in good hands. You can always be assured that you can put Ignition people in front of the business, and they'll work with them really professionally and in a really business outcome focused way.
Yeah, and I think we really tried to kind of adapt the engagement model to ensure there was engagement and accountability and shared success. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I guess the engagement manager we had for most of the work we're doing, he used to joke like his role was to make me look good, and 100% for sure he succeeded. So doing that, adapting to our ways of working, delivering all the training, the documentation, the knowledge sharing, making sure it was all at that high level and high standard that we needed.
So obviously part of our role is as a training provider. So do you think, how did the team go as far as, upskilling your internal teams during the engagement?
Yeah, that was a requirement right from the start, basically, to teach us how to fish, and that with a hands-on training approach, as well as a combination of playbooks and recipes as well. So we could train part of the team to get right on hands-on, and the other part of the team that were doing the business as usual could then come back later and look at the detailed playbooks and recipes and contribute to the projects later without as much hand-holding. So that worked well. Yeah,
perfect. And we probably almost covered this, I would think, but definitely one of my questions. How did you feel supported during changes in roles and responsibilities across engineering and testing and delivery?
Yeah, that was challenging. So RESIMAC have had a few shifting priorities, and really jumped in and were able to scale up and fill some critical roles where we needed it. And as I mentioned before, that adopted to our specific way of working. We have scaled agile way of working that we've adapted for a smaller environment. With a little bit of Kanban as well. And so even though a mix of those methods, the Ignition team were 100% on board with those ways of working. We're always on time, attending stand-ups and things like that, maintaining their backlogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, maybe wrapping this up a little bit, would you have any advice for a business that was looking to take on the Launchpad architecture as the way they're going to build a modern data platform?
Yeah. I would suggest that Launchpad is extremely flexible and customizable, and it will do what you want. I guess Ignition can make it all yours. But I guess the best thing to do, what we learned, was to understand your team's internal capabilities and understand what you want to get out from it before you engage, just to make sure you get what you want more quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's been a great engagement. Is there one thing that stands out that you're most proud of through this business transformation?
Yeah, I think it wasn't our original intent at all, but once we stood up the original platform, it enabled a very big data migration project that achieved a really significant business outcome. And we did it in a really high quality way with very few defects. So this enabled a high growth outcome for the business. When a lot of stakeholders had their doubts about our organization's ability to do it. So that was a fantastic outcome for us.
Yeah, it was great to be part of that, and we really appreciate the trust that RESIMAC put in us to help you deliver this platform, and it's been a great engagement. And look, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about it as well. We certainly have enjoyed all of our time working with RESIMAC, and hope to continue doing that for a while as well.
Yeah, same Julian, and it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.